And here we are back on Fresh Waves. We're talking with Jolana Pettifer of Jolana's Exceptional Home Decor. Jolana's been a regular guest of ours for, 4 or 5 years now. And we love doing this show. Once a month we do this show.
Yep.
If any of you listeners have questions about decorating, or now that you've gone to the website and seen my own living room, and have questions about your own space, let us know. Just drop us a line. And Jay, how do people get a hold of us?
Well, you can join us on Facebook, Fresh Waves on Whistle FM on Facebook. We're also on Twitter at Fresh Waves Radio. And you can give us a call here anytime at the station, 905-600-1027.
Great. Thanks, Jay.
No problem.
So if you have any questions, or you want to ask us a question for next month's show when we're going to be in depth talking about color, you can always drop us a line. So, Jolana, here we go. We're going to continue on. My life has changed. I do not have little kids. I still have 2 dogs and a cat, so I've got to keep that in mind. But for the most part, we seem to just walk through that room.
Yeah.
Not actually stay there.
And there was a reason for that, right? Because it was not inviting. It was not conducive to sitting in there. It just wasn't. It was, you had furniture placed there because you had the furniture. So I think by adding, and that's not a negative in any way, shape, or form. It's just, that's what happens sometimes. You place it and it stays like that for 26 years. It just happens. So what I also like to remind people is, number one, don't be hard on yourself. I mean, our tastes graduate. Our lives change as our family grows up. Our priorities, I think they change too. All of a sudden we take up hobbies because guess what? We have time. We start to appreciate art. We start to appreciate pieces that when we were younger and had the small children, we didn't have time. Yeah. We really didn't have time. Yeah. So I think we come to a point in a time in our lives where you can step back and you can take a deep breath and you can kind of say, you know what, well done. Now what? Yeah. So I think you get to that stage and you want to really start to enjoy life, because I promise you, and I know this sounds so cliche, I can't even tell you how cliche this sounds, it will improve your life. What do I mean by that? You come home at the end of every day, you walk into your home, and there's a smile on your face. Why? Because you love what you have. You love to see all the pieces again, like we were just talking about, that you've collected over the years, because now they're standing out. They're not just being piled into some corner or into a cabinet where nobody ever looks at it. So yeah, our tastes definitely graduate. There is no doubt about that. And our homes, they really should reflect the personality of the family. So we briefly, before the break, we talked about how some homes are pristine. Some people, that's the way they love to live. Like my mom, for example, you cannot find a speck of dust in her home. She takes great pride in having everything looking at its best. And that's something that I hold that in very high account, because I don't always have time at my house to do that. I just don't. But I think a home really does reflect the personality of the family. And if there are small children around, do not beat yourselves up. If you have toys on the floor, for goodness sakes,
let the kids play.
Let them play. Play with them. Get on your hands and knees with them. Maybe what you may want to do is find a great, blanket box that you can put the toys into if you're going to be entertaining, and you don't want the toys scattered all over the place. Right. So,
and create one Lego free zone. Our living room was the one Lego free zone. Now, one of the things that you noticed in the room when you first walked in, if you look at the before pictures, I'm not sure any of them you can see it, but we had these coffee tables from the art shop.
Yep.
The only thing that my husband had ever bought from the art shop. but they were very angular. And I had to hide them because they were solid marble. And if any little head ever connected with that sharp corner, it would have been a disaster. So now, I don't have those little heads around.
And what's really cool is sometimes you can repurpose. You just have to think outside the box. So we really actually didn't get a chance to stage your front hall. We will do that as well, but we have given it a completely new purpose. So putting it out by the window, by the front door, where now you can put some of your natural plants on it. You can actually put some items that you enjoy again that maybe you wouldn't put in other places in the home. Right. So it's really fun to find a piece and kind of repurpose it because it does not resemble what it was intended to be used for. At the beginning.
We actually put one on top of the other instead of side by side like they were originally intended.
Yeah, we did.
And it gives it a whole new look.
Yeah, it's almost like creating a ledge. Or
fabulous.
A shelf right at the front door entrance system. So I'm actually really looking forward to be able to help you to stage that area too, because I think you'll notice as soon as people come in, it could be sort of that really interesting impact piece. So yeah.
Well, even the plant that was there before looks much better where it is now.
Yeah, agreed. Right? Yeah.
Great.
And again, if you've got real plants, and I can't stress this enough, some of us have green thumbs, some of us do not. But the one thing we can all do, if the leaves are starting to turn brown, pull them out because you want that plant to look its best at all times. And actually it is healthier for the plant too.
It looks wonderful.
Yeah, right? So that's another thing to kind of keep in mind for sure. So yeah.
Okay, now you said we were going to turn the tables on this show.
Yeah.
And you were going to interview me because you have reformed that room. So away you go.
Okay. So how did you feel when I first suggested that we actually use you as a client? Like what was the feelings that you experienced when I said that?
I was admittedly a little bit nervous.
Yeah.
I mean, I know that you know me and I trust you. I've seen some of the installations that you've done, both for the Christmas home tour thing.
Yeah.
Home show, I was going to say, but it's actually a tour of homes. Yeah. And I've seen friends of mine who, you have done things for them like reupholstery and paint and, and the one farmhouse where you did a total reno at the back, an addition and a reno and the whole thing. So I'm familiar with your work, so I had that trust factor going on. But I'm still very much a creature of habit.
Yeah, and you know what is great to hear you say that, because I promise you probably 90% of the people that are listening right now have that same apprehension, which is why I wanted to ask that question. Well, I'm not really sure I want to call someone in. Are they going to criticize what I have? Are they going to not like what I have? No, that's not why I am coming into your home.
My dog ate the arm of the chair.
Right. And what did we do with that, friend?
Used a Sharpie, and you can't even tell anymore.
So I do think outside the box all the time. How did you find the experience? Like, did you feel like I was telling you what to do, or did you feel that I wanted to keep you as part of the whole consult?
I was very much a part of it, and you were very encouraging. I think you saw my face a couple of times when I didn't think you were looking, and then I would hear something like, it's okay, just give me a minute, it's not done yet, give me a minute. There is a method here, just wait. And in the course of a couple of hours, maybe 3 hours, I actually was able to trust you because I saw things coming together and I could see the way you were thinking, and I thought, she has got something in mind here. And then when you said, let's lift the fish up onto the top, I thought, now she's really lost her mind.
Okay, so let's explain. Let's explain about the fish. It's not a real fish. It is a magnificent, it's a soapstone, is it not?
It's
granite?
It's actually granite.
Yeah, it is absolutely stunning. And you actually had it hidden Because it was down on the ground.
It's so heavy. I figured, where do you put heavy things? On the ground. It's heavy and it's big. It never dawned on me to put it on the mantelpiece.
Yeah, on the mantle. And now when you, that was actually one of the things, it was kind of fun because Jack walked in as we were doing part of the staging.
My husband walked in.
And as soon as he saw that, he went, oh my gosh, I cannot believe how amazing that looks there.
Yeah, because he'd forgotten that we even owned them. He bought them for me for my birthday one year because I love stone.
Yeah, and they're beautiful.
They're beautiful. Yeah. And when you were moving it, I thought, oh, this serves her right. Because halfway up you said, oh, you're going to have to help me because it was so heavy. Oh, this serves her right. Nah, 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 nah.
Yes, I do make it interactive. I really do. And sometimes I would say to you, tell me about this piece, like the carving piece, for example. I love to hear the story because it makes you revisit the emotion that is attached to that piece. And it also helps me to say, okay, this is important. I want to put it somewhere where she is going to enjoy it. So in the hand carved piece, for example, I put it beside one of the wing chairs. I think you'll see it in the picture.
Yep, it's in the picture.
Against a very architectural wall, which almost has the illusion like you've got kind of windows or little shelves off of it. So again, to me, it's one of those focal areas that it deserves the attention that it is now getting.
It's interesting because where it was before, I thought, I want to put this somewhere where people will see it. And they do. When you come in the front door,
but got lost
you glance at it because you're
yeah.
walking by. It's always an area where you're walking by. You're never going to stay there for a while.
Nope.
Now it's in a spot where you're sitting stationary and you're going to be there for a good few minutes. And you actually can appreciate it where it is.
Yeah. And also with a hand-carved piece, when you put it onto a ledge, and in your case, because it's a very modern home, the walls are very pale, which actually the purpose for that is to accentuate and maintain the integrity of the original architectural design of the home, which is quite modern. But when you take a wood piece and you put it against a pale wall like that, you almost pass over it. Like you almost get the feeling, oh yeah, I did see something there, but I have no idea what it was.
And now that you mention it, you actually don't see either one.
No.
You don't see the architectural integrity because you've covered it, and you don't see the piece because it's kind of blending in.
Yeah. And what did we do with that little alcove, by the way? We walked around the house.
There's another picture of it. I think there's a picture of it on the website. I think I gave it to Jay to put on there.
Yeah.
And it's just a picture of the alcove, and we've redesigned it.
And if you take a notice, above your fireplace, Brenda has an incredible wall hanging, which is a very powerful wall hanging, very Canadian, which I love. Like, to me, honestly, it's just a great piece.
It's a blanket. It's a woolen blanket. It's a Pendleton blanket.
Yeah, it's stunning.
And it's the original horse blankets. And this one was a limited edition. There were only 200 of these blankets made. And it's the for the Canadian 150. Canada 150.
It's beautiful.
So the side that I have exposed is the woolen blanket hanging on a rod, and it's specifically designed.
I think there's a picture, is there not, of the actual? Yeah, it's on the website
and, it's red with a big maple leaf on it.
Yep.
And the interesting thing about that is that it's reversible.
Yeah.
You think it's reversible? And it is, actually. It's reversible. The other side, so this has the red blanket with the off-white maple
so you
leaf,
can also choose
and
it the other way.
The other side is an off-white blanket with a red maple leaf.
So what I wanted to kind of draw to everyone's attention is having a powerful piece like that alcove, we went around your home and we collected some of the great pieces that you have that have color as well. Because when your eye comes in there, when you come in there, your eye's going to register that red on the wall hanging. So I wanted you to have something that also pulls the eye back into that really unique alcove. Take a look at how many angles are in that alcove. Like it is
it's just crazy,
right? It's crazy. And now you see the pieces that are there, but you also end up seeing the alcove as well.
Right.
So So again, and then by putting that chair there, which you absolutely love, you have created a grouping. Groupings are so important. We touched upon it a little bit when I was there. I was sort of running out of time. But groupings are far more interesting than having just one individual piece. Height, super, super, super important. So on the one side of the sofa, I found a great little table, but the candlesticks that you had were the same height. So I said to Bren, have you got some books?
Right.
We grabbed some books, so we actually created an angle. Again, with your house, because of the architecture that's already in there, you don't want too many things that are all at the same level. You actually want to reinforce all the layers and the levels that are in the home. And
again,
it added...
I wouldn't have thought of that.
Right?
Now that you mention it, it makes perfect sense.
Yeah, it does. So we've created, again, interest where... Otherwise, it would have been okay to have two candlesticks the same height, but I'm not sure you would have had the same architectural value.
The integrity wouldn't have been the same.
I don't think so. Yeah. At all. So it's really fun, and you can create groupings with pictures as well. So we'll talk a little bit more
about that when we get back from our little break. So Jay, we're having a little break now, and we want to come right back because we've got a lot to cover in the next 15 minutes with Jolana Pettifer of Jolana's Exceptional Home Decor, and I'm your host, Bren Masson. Stay tuned.
Hey, I'm whistling. Would you like to whistle too? Whistle FM is looking for a few good volunteers. Come and join our team and learn a new skill. We're looking for producers, show hosts, and even people to help out around the station. Learn something new and meet new people. Email us at admin@whistleradio.com or drop by the station behind Stouffville Fine Furniture. We hope to see you soon.
What's happening in Stouffville? First, fast and factual. It's Whistle FM News every weekday morning between 5 and 9 on the half hour. Our Whistle FM News team brings you all the news that you need to know. In town and around the region, if it affects us in Stouffville, we've got it covered. Turn to your hometown news source, Whistle FM, for all the latest. Tune in at 102.9 Whistle FM or online at whistlefm.com.
And we're back. We are talking with Jolana Pettifer of Jolana's Exceptional Home Decor, and I'm Bren the Guinea Pig.
Yeah.
Bren the Guinea Pig is here today to say that I had actually a wonderful experience. And I must say, we've had friends over on the weekend, didn't mention a thing to them. When they walked in, they went, "You've done something different to the room. This looks nice. It looks so much bigger." Mm-hmm. Even though we brought the couch, it's a foot away from the wall. Mm-hmm. We've pulled things into the middle of the room that were before against the sides of the walls. We've given height to places that were totally flat. We've actually put more stuff in there than has ever been in that room before, and people are saying it looks bigger.
Yep.
For me, I walk in there and I don't see it looking bigger. I think it looks cozier.
Yeah, it's more
than
inviting.
It ever has
for sure.
before.
Yeah.
I am so tempted to lie on the couch now, and not once in the last 16 years of owning that couch have I ever felt like lying on that couch. Mm-hmm. And now I feel like lying on that couch. We did have one question though, Jolana.
Yeah, it's good.
Looking at that room. Where are we going to put the Christmas tree this year?
Oh, that's not a problem at all. You're just going to move your wing chair over a little bit, and you are going to put it right smack there.
Where we used to anyway.
Yeah. So, I mean, a chair is very easy to move.
Right.
So don't ever feel that there's no room for the Christmas tree. Christmas tree is also temporary, so keep that in mind, right?
So I would move the chair over here. This chair. Put it right there, because that's where we always put it. So, okay, now I feel good.
So there
it can
you go.
be where it always lives.
Yeah, for sure. Now, we talked a little bit about, in a modern home, because everything is going to be quite neutral on your walls, how can you add some interest? How can you add a design element that's unexpected without taking away from, again, the details that are already there. So we talked very briefly about this little wall.
And if you look in the picture on the website, you can see it in one of the angles. It has watercolor painting on it.
And what looks like little shelves sort of off to the left side.
Yeah, little wooden shelves. What they're not. They're actually just a joining of making it kind of fit into the room in its own little way.
Yeah. So I didn't show Brenda the color I was thinking before we got here because I didn't want her to stew about it. So,
Stewie.
So the color, again, going with what she has, I love the color. It's a historical color, so it's an HC-158, and it is the most magnificent tone of greeny, turquoisey blue. So it's called Newburgh Green, and I can't tell you what a fabulous color that is.
It's a wonderful color, and I'm really glad I like it.
Yeah. And the other thing you're going to find, once you do commit to painting that wall, I would still keep that watercolor there. And what you're actually going to create, which is really neat, is that wall is going to appear like it is a gallery-style matting for your watercolor. So if you are familiar with gallery style matting or framing, you take a smaller picture and you make it bigger just by adding an oversized mat to it, and then you would frame it. So not only are you going to go wow over that little wall, you are also going to go wow at your picture, and it's going to create just incredible interest. So I think you're going to really enjoy it. I can't wait.
Nice.
I'm
actually really excited about it because it's stunning. It's really a nice color. I had, quite honestly, no idea what you had in mind. I did, however, know that there was one thing you weren't going to want me to do. And I know you said we're going to accent that wall. It's going to be a very rich color. It's going to have a wow factor.
Yeah, well.
And I don't want you to say that you hate it right off the bat. So I went out and I got some color swatches today from Benjamin Moore, and I thought, I'm going to match the red in the blanket to that little wall, and then it will tie the two together. And I kind of knew that it was going to be funny, and I put it in an envelope where you couldn't see it. I wish I had a video camera to see your face when you pulled it out. Oh my, oh my, oh my.
I said nope.
Okay, you said no, and I knew you were going to. Tell us why.
Okay, so one of the reasons is, again, when you walk into your room and you look at your fireplace and you see that magnificent blanket, you go, wow. Why in the world would you try and divert your attention from that by matching the same color down at your eye level?
Not to mention the fact that if I ever change the blanket, all of a sudden the wall doesn't make sense.
And I love reds, so do not get me wrong. It's just in this case, you want to complement it. You do not want to take away from a piece that you may already have in the room. So yeah, so that is kind of a really fun way to create interest in the room, create huge impact, and a color like that, again, it is part of nature. So you're going to find that your eye will draw your eye, but then your eye will kind of shift over to the left to your beautiful landscape windows, and you're going to, again, appreciate what's on the outside. So in a really bizarre twist, you're kind of treating it like a piece of art as opposed to a wall.
And that wall lends itself to that kind of a thing.
Oh my goodness.
Because it sort of stands on its own.
Yeah. And it was meant to be a wow factor. It was not meant to disappear. Otherwise, they would have left it open to the dining room with just some stairs. So to me, they've created almost like a screen effect, and it creates like a little hall, which is going to lead you down into the dining room, which, by the way, when you paint that, is going to become its own space as well.
She's moved into another room already. You know the funny thing? There are times in your life, and this is more of a psychological thing than anything else, but there's times in your life when you're ready for a change, when there's been a shift and a clutter person turns into a declutterer, when old needs to be new, for all kinds of psychological and, life changes. And I guess there's that old adage, isn't it? Something like sometimes a change is as good as a move, or something like that.
Yeah, and purging is revitalizing too, Brenda.
There's not really purging of, like, we didn't do any purging. Let's get this straight from all the listeners out there. We didn't lose anything.
No.
I didn't have to, well, except for the brown branches on the spider plant. But other than that, we threw nothing out.
No.
We got rid of nothing. I didn't open a cupboard and put something away.
No.
Okay, there's one extra ottoman, but I'll put that somewhere else. That kind of thing. We
used
everything that I already have.
Yeah.
I don't have this big, oh my goodness, she's taken my stuff.
Yeah, no.
It's wonderful.
We
it was
repurposed
a really
it.
nice feeling.
Yeah. In a
and
sense,
it didn't take a long time, and it
No,
didn't take
no.
any money.
It was like
except for you.
repurposing. Think of it as recycling, right? Like you're taking something
It's a redesign.
that has, it's a redesign. You've taken something that I'm sure when you first bought it, you fell in love with it, but it ended up just getting lost, looked tired, and it did. It did nothing where it was.
No.
So by taking, and again, I'm talking about the vase with the curly willows and that beautiful little drum that you have there, and just pulling those elements together to create something completely new again.
And instead of just sticking my actual drums, the drum that you're speaking of is the one that you can actually use as a coffee table or something. But I actually had 2 musical drums, and music is a huge part of my life. And they're now
In the
living room as if they were meant to be there. There's a doumbek and a djembe.
Yep.
And they look like they are a part of that room. It doesn't look like I got home from drunk camp, had nowhere to put these things, so I just stuck them on the side of the wall. They actually look like they belong there. It's the first
they're part
time
of the room.
that they've ever had a real home.
Yeah, and the day you tell me you were sitting in your wing chair and you picked it up and you started drumming will just make my day, because that's my hope for you, because you're going to want to love to be there. You're all about nature, and what better spot now to actually experience that than in the comfort of a room that you love to be in.
Yeah.
Yeah. So again, it is so much fun. A lot of clients, when I come in, we are always working around existing elements. Like that is just part and parcel of what I do. In your case, for example, you've got absolutely incredible terracotta tiles. The adobe influence is there. So even though the home is very, very modern, and one might expect, book matched marble slabs on the ground, it actually adds warmth to an otherwise, cooler architecture, because everything is very straight, very linear, lots of angles. So it actually softens the lines of the home itself. So it delights me when perhaps it was the owner, perhaps it was the builder's suggestion, I don't know, but it delights me when someone has actually said, would you consider doing this? Because I think it's going to be one of your favorite features once everything gets painted fresh and art gets, repurposed
Traveled
and
around,
and traveled around too. So
I'm so happy that we did that, and I'm so thankful that we had the time to do it. I guess the takeaway for a lot of people is it doesn't have to be a huge reno job. It's spring. Just move some things around. Put some things in different places. Try something new. It didn't take a ton of time. We're not talking about 2 weeks here. We're talking about a morning.
Yep.
And that's all it took was a morning. I'm not saying that we did it in an hour, because I'd be lying. But it was a morning. And it was a beautiful morning that has turned into the last weekend with the storm. Was just lovely to spend in that room. So thank you very much.
You're so welcome.
Now, next week, or next time that we get together, we are going to move into color, because we're going to be painting my whole front entrance, which leads into that living room, which leads into the upstairs study, which leads down the hall and towards the kitchen. So we're going to talk about color and light, and I think it's going to be a fabulous show.
Yeah,
it always
so excited. It always is. I love being here, Brenda. Thank you so much for having me.
Thank you for joining us this morning. It's a pleasure. A pleasure indeed. Now, coming up in the second hour, we've got Diane Ward and Ivan Harris coming in, and Jolana's welcome to join us for a bit if she'd like. We're going to be talking about volunteerism, because this is National Volunteer Week. You're listening to Fresh Waves. We've been speaking with Jolana Pettifer of Jolana's Exceptional Home Décor. If you haven't done so already, you might want to stop by the website, Freshwaves.ca, and take a look at the pictures and what we've been talking about today and the transformation. And I apologize to my children who are inadvertently in the before pictures on Christmas morning in their pajamas. Oh, well, that in itself is worth a look. So we're going to take a little break, and after that, we'll come back and start talking about volunteerism. Stay tuned to Fresh Waves.